Navigating the world of academic research can often feel like you're trying to find your way through a huge, complex maze. There's just so much information out there, but finding the credible, important work that you actually need, well, that's the real challenge. So let's dive in and map out the best tools for the job.
Here's what we'll be covering. First, we'll look at why these specialized search engines are so essential for good research. Then, we'll take a tour of the different types of tools available, from the one almost everyone starts with, to the more curated, powerful databases, and even the precision tools for specialists. We'll finish up by putting together a smart workflow that you can use to make your research much more effective.
So, let's start with the most basic question. Why can't we just use a regular search engine for our academic work? It seems easier, right?
Well, the internet today is incredibly noisy. Absolutely anyone can publish anything, and telling fact from fiction is getting harder all the time. When your work depends on being accurate and authoritative, you just can't rely on an algorithm that's designed to show you what's popular. You need a tool that's built specifically for academic rigor. And this really gets to the core difference. Think about it this way. General search engines index the entire web, blogs, shops, news, everything. But academic engines are much more selective. They only index scholarly sources like peer-reviewed journals, conference papers, and dissertations. They are designed to find knowledge, not just random information. Their real power isn't just in what they search, but how they let you search. You can follow citation networks to see how an idea has evolved over time. You can use impact metrics to understand which papers are considered most important in a field. And they have practical tools, like letting you export citations directly to reference managers, which is a huge time saver. Plus, with advanced filters, you can get incredibly specific in your search.
Okay, let's move on to the tool that is, for many of us, the main entry point to academic research, Google Scholar.
To really appreciate its power, you just have to look at this number. We're talking about an estimated index of over 200 million documents. That scale is just massive. It covers almost every discipline you can think of, which makes it an excellent tool for casting a wide net when you're just starting to explore a new topic. But here's the trade-off. Its greatest strength is that it's free and incredibly comprehensive. It's fantastic for finding papers and seeing who has cited them. Its biggest limitation, though, is the lack of quality control. It often includes materials that haven't been peer-reviewed, and sometimes the data can have errors. So you always need to be a little bit careful and evaluate what you find. So after the wide open landscape of Google Scholar, we now move to the more selective, curated databases, Scopus and Web of Science. These are the subscription-based heavyweights, and they are really the gold standard for something called bibliometrics, which is just a way of statistically analyzing publications to measure their impact. Now, this is really a tale of two giants. Scopus is the more modern of the two, and it tends to be more inclusive, with better coverage of research from around the world. Web of Science, on the other hand, is the older, more traditional platform. It's highly selective and has an incredible historical reach, going all the way back to 1900. It's also the home of the famous journal Impact Factor. So, which one should you use? Well, it depends on your goal. If you need a broad, up-to-date view of a field, especially with global research, Scopus is probably your best bet. But if you're doing a deep historical analysis, or you need to identify the most traditionally prestigious journals, then the depth and quality control of Web of Science are unbeatable. A good approach is to start wide with Scholar, go deep with Scopus, and go long with Web of Science for historical context. Sometimes you don't need a tool that does everything. You need a tool that does one specific thing perfectly. And that's where subject-specific databases are so important. For instance, if you're in medicine or the life sciences, PubMed is absolutely essential. And its power really comes from its focus. Just look at this number, over 38 million citations, all of them dedicated to biomedical research. But the secret behind PubMed's precision is something called MESH, or Medical Subject Headings. This lets you search for concepts, not just keywords. So instead of searching for the word cancer, MESH allows you to search for the concept of neoplasms. This ensures you find all the relevant papers on a topic, no matter which specific words the authors used. It's a true game changer. And this same logic applies to other fields too. If you're an engineer, you'll want to use IEEE Explorer for technical standards. For education research, it's ERIC. And if your focus is on finding high-quality research that's free to read, the directory of open access journals is the place to go. Using the right tool for your specific subject saves so much time and gives you much better results.
All right, we've talked about the major players, but having the best tools is only half the battle. You also need a good strategy. So let's build a practical workflow.
A smart search is a process. Here's a simple 4-step approach. First, start broad with Google Scholar to just get a feel for the topic. Step 2, once you know the basics, go deep in a curated database like Scopus or a specialist one like PubMed. This is where you'll find the highest quality vetted studies. Step 3 is to refine and filter. Use simple commands like and, or, and not to make your search more precise. For example, solar power and storage will only show you articles that contain both terms. And finally, step 4. Set up alerts so that new, relevant research comes directly to you. It's all about working smarter, not harder.
This really brings us to our final and most important point. Using all these tools and workflows, it isn't just about technique. It's about changing your mindset. The goal isn't just to find a few papers, it's to build a solid foundation of knowledge. I think this quote really captures the reality of modern research. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. The best research strategy is a layered one, where you combine the strengths of different tools to make sure you have both the broad overview and the specific details you need.
So I'll leave you with this final question to think about. A simple search just casts a wide net and hopes for the best. But true research, that's a strategic, deliberate process. By choosing the right tools for the right tasks and using them with a clear plan, you move from simply searching for answers to truly building a deep and lasting understanding.